नमस्कार, मेरा नाम रोहित है। मैं एक आर्किटेक्ट हूँ। इससे पहले कि ये वीडियो शुरू करूँ, मैं अपना एक छोटा सा इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा। I have worked with firms like RHA, which stands for Royston Hanamoto Alley and Abbey. It used to have a branch back in Delhi then. I've also worked with Stoop Consultants. I have taught in IVS School of Design for 3.5 years as a design faculty. इसके साथ साथ मैंने independent projects पे भी काम किया हुआ है. Currently, I'm also pursuing Masters of Architecture from Jamia Millia Islamia. So, as you guys know that we are all locked down in our homes because of COVID-19, I would take this as an opportunity to teach you something about architecture, whatever I have learned so far about architecture. So, I'm going to start with a very basic question. What is design? आखिर ये design होता क्या? We always come across this word. We always ask people, design this, design that. इसका design अच्छा नहीं है, उसका अच्छा है. What are we actually comparing? What is design? Design is actually conversion of an idea into a product. आपके दिमाग में एक आइडिया है, आप उसे प्रोडक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं, वही डिज़ाइन है. सो कंसिडरिंग दैट हमारे दिमाग में कुछ आइडियाज़ आते रहते हैं और हमें ऐसा लगता है कि आइडियाज़ को कन्वर्ट करते रहो, प्रोडक्ट में आप डिज़ाइन करते जा रहे हो. पर क्या आपके आइडियाज़ जनरेट हो रहे हैं आइसोलेशन में? डू यू थिंक दैट देर इज़ नथिंग इन्फ्लुएंसिंग आइडियाज़? आइडिया को कुछ इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर रहा होगा? जो आइडियाज़ मेरे दिमाग में इस समय में, इस प्लेस में, इस टाइम में आ रहे हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कि वो एक यूरोप के एक आदमी में 10 साल पहले सेम आ रहे होंगे? नो, दैट मीन्स दैट टाइम हैज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल टू प्ले when the ideas are being generated in the person's mind. So, what are those ideas and how do they get influenced because of the era that one person lives in? Is what we will try to understand through this video. So I know it's very basic idea, but then I'm going to explain with the help of an interesting example. तो इसे समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि आइडियाज़ किन चीज़ों से इन्फ्लुएंस होते हैं. आइडियाज़ इन्फ्लुएंस होते हैं प्लेस, कल्चर, टाइम. ठीक है, these are very important things that influence it. And to understand this, I'm going to explain about a word, very brief explanation about this word, but it's very important for an architectural student or any design student for that matter. That word is zeitgeist. I hope you have heard this word, even if you have not. इसे समझाने की कोशिश करता हूँ. Zeitgeist का मतलब होता है spirit of the times. For example, हम इस टाइम पे जी रहे हैं, इस टाइम की एक spirit है. And believe it or not, we are getting influenced by that spirit all the time. For example, आज से 10 साल पहले लोग कुछ किसी तरीके के कपड़े पहन रहे थे और वो उस तरीके के कपड़े इसलिए पहन रहे थे बिकॉज उस टाइम का एक स्पिरिट था, उस टाइम की एक ओवरऑल कलेक्टिव साइकोलॉजी थी. जैसे कि आज कलेक्टिव साइकोलॉजी है हम लोगों की टू यूज Instagram, YouTube, to express our individuality on these social media channels, and the technology is actually helping us to do that. तो उसी तरीके से टेक्नोलॉजी या उस टाइम की साइंस, उस टाइम की डिस्कवरी, कल्चर, स्पेस, टाइम, एवरीथिंग was influencing the spirit of that time. Spirit, the word spirit is something very difficult to understand, but everybody would understand this also at the same time. For example, spirit का मतलब हुआ कि इस टाइम पे इस जमाने की एक सोच है और वो सोच ट्रांसलेट होती है, कन्वर्ट होती है बिल्डिंग्स में, बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट में, हमारी आर्ट्स में, हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स में, हर चीज़ में. दैट मीन्स दैट इनडायरेक्टली द स्पिरिट, ज़ेटगाइस्ट जो हम बोल रहे थे स्टार्टिंग में, स्पिरिट इन्फ्लुएंस कर रही है हमारे आइडियाज़ को, आइडियाज़ इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स के डिज़ाइन को. और हमारे केस में एज एन आर्किटेक्ट और एज एन इंटीरियर डिज़ाइनर, हमारे केस में वो प्रोडक्ट है बिल्ट एनवायरनमेंट, यानी कि बिल्डिंग का वातावरण, हमारा बिल्ट प्रोडक्ट विच वी कॉल एज बिल्डिंग, और इवन लैंडस्केप, पार्क फॉर दैट मैटर, एनी स्पेस विच इज डिजाइन्ड और बिल्ट. सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस आइडिया जो भी मैंने अभी तक समझाया विद द हेल्प ऑफ अ वेरी फेमस एरा पढ़ते हैं ना आर्किटेक्चर में. सो आई एम गोइंग टू एक्सप्लेन दैट विद द हेल्प ऑफ एन एरा विच वी कॉल एज मॉडर्निज्म. Modernism is something that is just reduced to few architects nowadays in our history of architecture, which is Le Corbusier, Frank Lloyd Wright, and we study their principles without even understanding that what was the backdrop of those ideas. इन लोगों के दिमाग में एकदम से ऐसे ideas आ गए, but क्यों आए? There must be something which influenced them to think of those ideas. वो क्या थे वो ideas? वो समझने की कोशिश करते हैं. So modernism is basically characterized by certain ideals. Modernism था क्या? Modernism was, I would not even call it as a movement. I would rather call it as a rebellious state of mind. People were so tired of historical traditions. They were tired of religious morals imposed on them. They were tired of science. They were tired of questions which question the moral conventions, scientific conventions. For example, अगर मुझे बार बार कोई बोलता रहेगा, do fasting, नवरात्रे चल रहे हैं तो व्रत रखो 9 दिन के लिए, I would rather ask that person that why would I do that and how will that help me. Then if the person gives me the ideation that 9 दिन इस time पे व्रत रखने से because your immunity is weaker in this time of change of seasons, if you eat less food, something or the food which improves or enhances your immunity, then probably I might get convinced. But to initiate that, I was rebellious in the beginning. I questioned it, right? Modernism was that. मॉडर्निज्म ने बोला कि हम क्वेश्चन करेंगे साइंटिफिक कन्वेंशंस, मॉरल कन्वेंशंस को, रूल्स को, रेगुलेशंस को. इट वाज अ रिबेलियस स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. नाउ टू डिफाइन मॉडर्निज्म या मॉडर्निज्म को टोटलिटी में समझने के लिए हमें क्या पढ़ना पड़ेगा? उसका ज़ाइटगाइस्ट, व्हिच इज द स्पिरिट ऑफ दैट टाइम. उस जमाने की सोच क्या थी. इसे डिफाइन करने के लिए आई हैव रिड्यूस मॉडर्निज्म इनटू 6 वेरी इंटीग्रल पॉइंट्स. 6 पॉइंट्स पढ़ेंगे हम, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. सिंपल, आई विल रिड्यूस इट टू something very basic, or I'll take examples which are very basic to understand. The first point is nihilism. Nihilism, it might sound very technical, like suddenly पता नहीं क्या हो गया, कैसा word ले लिया, but nihilism is very easy to understand. Nihilism का मतलब होता है belief in nothing. I'm not going to believe anything. Embrace it. I will embrace nihilism. For example, if somebody would ask me, follow this, always wear formals when you go to meeting, I would say, I don't believe that. I reject it. I don't believe in whatever things that are being told to me or whatever things are rules or regulations imposed on me. मैं reject कर दूँगा. I will not follow it. What will they call me? Modern. They will say Rohit is modern. That is nihilism. That was the spirit of the time. First point. Second point was rejection of belief systems. There were so many belief systems which were prevalent in that time before modernism, the pre-modernism. थोड़ा सा हम पीछे मॉडर्निज्म के पीछे की बात भी समझ लेते हैं. मॉडर्निज्म भी सडनली नहीं आया था. रिबेलियस सडनली नहीं बनते. रिबेलियस हम बने थे तो मॉडर्निज्म वाज प्रीसीडेड बाय अनदर आर्किटेक्चरल एरा. एक टाइम था, आई वुड नॉट इवन कॉल इट आर्किटेक्चरल एरा. वो एक स्पिरिट थी उस टाइम पे जिसे हम बोलते हैं रोमांटिसिज्म. नाउ रोमांटिसिज्म का मतलब होता है रोमांटिक वर्ड, राइट? रोमांटिक इज नथिंग टू डू विद लव राइट नाउ. It has to do with love, but what was romanticizing? Romanticizing was basically taking something and exaggerating it, बड़ा चढ़ा कर दिखाना. For example, let's say I'm a very patriotic person. तो अगर मैं I put a tattoo of भारत का झंडा on my face, I am romanticizing India. I am expressing my love by exaggerating it. बहुत बड़ा चढ़ा के दिखाना अपने प्यार को. That is why romantic has something to do with love, right? It is about showing your love largely with a very very big open heart and exaggerating it also. तो जब बहुत टाइम तक लोगों ने अपने बिलीफ सिस्टम्स बनाए, अगर मैं किसी चीज़ को बड़ा चढ़ा कर दिखाना चाहता हूँ तो मैं उस आइडिया को बहुत स्ट्रांगली बिलीव करूँगा कि मैं पेट्रियाटिक हूँ. अगर मैं पेट्रियाटिक हूँ तो मुझे देश का झंडा बनाना है. जो नहीं बनाएगा, that person is not right in that time. मॉडर्निज्म इसके बाद आया. Now imagine अगर ये 5-10-20 साल तक ये चलता रहा, झंडा बना हुआ है हम सबके फेस पे, and suddenly somebody comes and rebels against this, that person would be called modern. Yes, so that is rejection of a belief system. So people started rejecting the belief systems of that time. Second point. Now I'll move on to the third point. Third point is personally my favorite. That is exploring perversity. Perversity का मतलब the word pervert, it's very negative, right? If somebody teases a girl, that guy is pervert. So, but people explore perversity. For example, I'm going to take a very unique example. This is something that will, broaden your knowledge also about other disciplines. Rather, I always say that, architecture is beyond disciplines. It's something that goes way beyond the typical disciplines like design. It goes much beyond that. So I'm going to talk about the psychologists of that time. So there was no branch known as psychology or any subject known as psychology back then. 1900s में जब modernism आया था तभी psychology was also taking birth almost. And this is because of a very, very famous guy, well renowned. He's also known as father of psychology, Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. these were the these were the pioneers of psychology. तो उन्होंने बोला कि they give ideas like हमारी personality define होती है. हमारी personality is something that can be identified हमारे बचपन में. अगर मान लो मैं I am not able to as a infant when I am 7 or 8 months old and I don't do my shit properly immediately. I retain my anal region. I am anal retentive. और जो एनल रिटेंटिव बच्चे होते हैं जो शिट पूरी तरह से नहीं करते हैं दे रिटेन देयर शिट फीकल मैटर these people will become introvert and that was called as pervert. Oh my god, this guy is defining personality on the basis of anal habits. Oh, that's so cheap. That person is modern. This is the third point. Fourth point, this is very important and something that has actually defined the word modern. This point talks about self-sufficiency of each work of art. That means, for example, if I come, for example, can you see diyas behind me? These are very perfectly drawn. I have used scale to perfectly draw it. But if somebody, a kid comes and draws something, a very cute diya, something which is not defined properly, that will we call that as an art? Yes, we will. And this happened because of modernism. So modernism talked about that every art piece or work of art is self-sufficient. So that is why whenever we see modern art, तो हम modern art में क्या देखते हैं 3-4 लाइन ड्रॉ हुई हुई है किसी ने पेंट फेंका हुआ है and we call that modern art. Yes, that is modern art because modern art said that her art एक art है. We before that was not accepted because historically you need to be perfect and if I have to make my portrait वो portrait perfect होना चाहिए. But अब कोई एक अगर मेरी जगह एक स्माइली फेस भी बना देगा and बोलेगा ये रोहित है, somebody will also call that modern art. Modern art allowed people, diverse people, to express their ideas of art on paper. It actually promoted acceptance of diverse pieces of art. बहुत सारा acceptance हुआ, which was important. So this was the fourth point. We have discussed nihilism, rejection of belief systems, exploring perversity, and we have also discussed self-sufficiency of work of art. Now we are going to discuss the fifth point, which is again very important, focusing on city life rather than rural areas. We have this idea that, villages are beautiful. Let's just leave city life. City life छोड़ो, क्या pollution, car, धुआं, we just hate it. हमें नहीं चाहिए, हमें तो गाँव में रहना चाहिए, खुल के जीना चाहिए. Look, I'm wearing a kurta. Why wear shirts? Let's just stick to our traditions. But modernism was something which was reverse of this. They said, excuse me, we understand rural areas and villages are fine, they're perfect, they have nature, but cities not bad either. Cities are good, they're glamorous. Cities are really, really good. White shirt, bad, let's wear formal, suit, art, fashion, everything in city, street lights, even these are beautiful landscapes to work with. And they focused on this. If you focus on city life rather than the rural areas, you would be called as modern or modern. So this was the fifth point. Now the last point, this is primitivism. Primitivism का मतलब होता है going back to the basics. You don't need anything extra. For example, अगर तुम्हें घर बनाना है, we are going to stick to the basic ideas of line and make houses perfectly rectangular. Just reduce them. Primitive. Let's not put primitive मतलब बहुत पुराने ज़माने की सोच. कपड़े, these are unnecessary. Why to wear them? let's walk nude. This is primitivism. This, and obviously if you walk nude, you would not even be called modern. That would be either ultra modern or madness. But all these ideas of nudist colonies and being an exhibitionist, all these ideas came because of these modernist notions. तो ये जो 6 पॉइंट मैंने आपको बताए, ये 6 पॉइंट एक्चुअली डिफाइन करते हैं मॉडर्निज्म को, उस जमाने की सोच को. ये जमाने की सोच आर्किटेक्चर में किस तरीके से ट्रांसलेट हुई, अब हम उसकी बात करेंगे. नाउ whenever somebody hears these word modernism, son, if I ask an architectural student what is modernism, he will define the 5 points of modern architecture by Le Corbusier, which were the pilatus, free facade, and horizontal free plan, and horizontal band of windows, and the terrace garden. बट ये 5 पॉइंट्स के बियॉन्ड था मॉडर्न. ये 5 पॉइंट आए क्यों? बिकॉज द वे द कलेक्टिवली पीपल वर थिंकिंग, जो उस टाइम की कलेक्टिव सोच थी उस जमाने की, वो सोच ये थी कि we need to focus on city life, we need to reject every system. So if you see the architecture which is before modernism, it is very very decorative. बहुत सजावट होती थी. The buildings were very well ornamented. They had curves, they had this, that, color going on, material differences, texture differences, color differences. But suddenly when you talk about modernism, we are reduced to very formal colors, right? We are reduced to grays, we are reduced to blacks, whites, very simple rectilinear built structures, rectangle, because of all the 6 points that I was talking about before this. वो 6 पॉइंट्स का रिफ्लेक्शन दिखाई देता है ली कोर्बूजियर की बिल्डिंग में. Then Frank Lloyd Wright, for example, when a classic building which is Falling Waters, that might be very perverse for an architect pre-modern, of pre-modern era, or an architect of pre-modern era, and if he sees Falling Waters, he would say, what kind of building is this? Falling Waters, agar aap saying, so Falling Waters is a building which is, the planes are going in a different direction. So if this is one floor, there's a cantilevered balcony projected like this, and then there's another balcony projecting in another direction. That kind of architecture, was time ke liye, it was almost badtamizi, it was perversity. So that is why the whole idea of spirit of the times, and it got reflected in the architecture of those times, 1900s. We still say that the modernism is surviving. Modernism khatam nahi hua hai, although we live in postmodern era, and it is something जो मैं आगे के सेशंस में कवर करूंगा. पर लेकिन जब हम मॉडर्निज्म की बात करते हैं, तो मॉडर्निज्म में वी डू डिस्कस that how particular spirit of the times got converted into a built environment. And I would say not only, I would not reduce it to just built environment. The art of that era, the fashion, everything, psychology, the birth of various disciplines, sociology, everything was uh, taking birth. Everything was being initiated in those times, and this was happening because the spirit of the times was such. So, hence, we can say that ideas are not developed in isolation, they are always influenced by the zeitgeist that I mentioned in the beginning, which was the spirit of the times. So, this was the lecture on modernism, zeitgeist, and how design gets influenced, ideas. That doesn't mean that you cannot question the spirit of the times. Then you would become a pioneer, because let's say the first person who had this rebellious state of mind in modernism was a pioneer. He did not get influenced by the spirit of the times of era before modernism. तो अगर पोस्ट मॉडर्न एरा में एक लेट्स से इट कैन बी अ डिजाइनर, इट कैन बी अ पॉलिटिशियन, इट कैन बी अ फिलोसोफर, और वो एक रैडिकल आइडिया को जब लेके आएगा, तो वो रैडिकल आइडिया is something which will initiate another spirit of time, another zeitgeist, another movement. And that movement will influence the built product, the built environment. Now, the modernism that I covered in this session is actually something which will influence or result in an offshoot of various small movements. यानी नेक्स्ट सेशन में जो मैं कवर करूंगा, उसमें मैं बहुत सारी छोटी छोटी आर्ट मूवमेंट्स लूंगा, जो इन अ वे आर एक्चुअली बाय प्रोडक्ट्स, इन अ वे दे आर ऑफ शूट्स ऑफ मॉडर्निज्म, So we are going to discuss a lot of isms, ISMS isms in coming lectures, coming sessions. I hope you really like this lecture. Please like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Rohit. See you. Hope to see you soon.